Boltzmann, Gibbs, Maxwell, and others. And
Okay. I can't find a video that I hoped I would on if the just with the sound effects of Alice Steinfeld in her costume using her ultimate. Which I think is one of the two scenes that, well, one of the only sounds that are related to her doing this stuff. The appropriate stuff. Scott Outpost, let's go. Man, it is annoying. That there are currently, well, I guess this set is worth farming because both Freedom Blues and Polar Metal is still useful. These ones make sense, at least in part, because Inferno Metal is a set. Those two are useful, those two are useful. But then there is this. It doesn't really do much.
Imagine this. It's late at night, and you're sitting in front of your screen. The hum of your console fills the room as you load up a game you've loved for years. The music kicks in, those familiar notes that feel like home. You've raced these streets, fought these battles, laughed with friends, through every glitch and victory. Then, one day, you log in, and it's gone. A lifeless message stares back.
Servers offline. Thank you for playing.
Your heart sinks. It's not just a game.
Hit him where it hurts.
It's a piece of you. And there's nothing you can do to bring it back. This isn't a what if. This is the story of thousands of gamers right now. And it's why a movement called Stop Killing Games was born. Picture a game like The Crew. A racing world where you could feel the wind, chase sunsets, and build memories. Mostly alone, but always tethered to an online server. In 2024, that world went dark. The publisher flipped a switch, and just like that, a game people paid for, sometimes full price, was unplayable. No refunds, no warning, just gone. It's not the first time.
Well, there was
Games
a
we've
war.
loved, games
everyone.
Hit him where it hurts.
Don't underestimate me.
Found your weakness.
Oh, for Lord Nathan.
Yo, nice. Those. Do it again.
Found your weakness.
Look around.
Hit him where it hurts.
Don't underestimate me. Let my song
Hurts. Found your weakness.
Games that shaped us are vanishing. Publishers call them live service titles, but what they don't tell you is that when the service ends, so does your ownership. You bought it, sure, but they can take it away whenever they want. It's a betrayal that stings, not just in your wallet, but in your soul. Think about it. Imagine losing a favorite book because the publisher decided to burn the last copy. Or a movie you can't watch because the studio locked it in a vault. That's what's happening to our games, and for gamers everywhere, it feels personal. Enter Ross Scott, a gamer, a creator, and, back in 2024, the guy who
That is, so that you understand, the video that I stopped watching just now because I feel like it doesn't add anything new to discussion, is Blank Voids, the fight to save our games. Okay, legal mindset, your lawyer reviews leaked Vishojo contract. Fast facts.
The Vishojo contract has leaked. Well, a Vishojo contract has leaked, and it's very relevant to the current downfall of the company and perhaps the contracts that are being pushed in front of talents right now as they try to negotiate, settle out, and end their relationship with the failed company Vishojo. So we're going to be going over that contract today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, attorney. And this is something that I love to do, going through contracts. It brought me on the VTuber scene, going through the Niji Sanji contract. So we've got one today. I've broken it up a little bit differently for this Fast Facts version. Of course, if you like the Fast Facts, like the video and leave a comment below. For the fast facts, I'm going to be doing a very, very quick summary of the contract language. We're going to go through
That is
all
not
the relevant points, which
necessarily
I've cropped out. If you want
the
a
best
very
one.
detailed analysis where we really go into the meat of it, check out the live. That'll be a much longer version where I will go into much deeper detail. But we've got the quick version for you guys today, of course, on the legal mindset. And of course, we've got a PowerPoint, yes, on the exposing of the Vishojo contract. So here we go. The background on this contract, this is a new contract that was sent to me this week. It is for an employee that was terminated from Vishojo. Now, to be very clear, I'm saying employee. Typically, most VTuber companies, including Vishojo, do not consider the talent employees. They consider them independent contractors or some sort of other non-employee worker. They do not consider them employees. So there are some relevant parts of this. There are some parts of this contract that are not relevant or wouldn't be relevant to Vishojo talents necessarily. However, I believe many of the clauses are, including the ones that I've included in this PowerPoint in this presentation. So a lot of the information you're going to see today is absolutely 100% relevant to either what was already signed by the Vishojo talent or what they are trying to get them to sign right now. I guarantee you that something like this is being pushed in front of some of the talents. I guarantee you that some of the talents have signed a document very much like this, similar to this, et cetera, because as an attorney, I can tell you that attorneys are lazy. They like to use templates, they do the same forms. So I guarantee you that a lot of the same language is probably going in front of the talent right now. Now, while this is not a talent contract, I did previously review a talent contract from Vishojo. Now, a lot of people asked me to disclose that, to show that. Obviously, there were confidentiality concerns, which there still are today, in terms of being able to identify who that was. And the individual asked me not to disclose it. Therefore, taking attorney-client privilege here, I'm going to say, hey, I'm not going to disclose that information at all whatsoever. But I will say that I do see some things that are the same, and there's some points that I'm going to point out which are similar to the Vishojo contract. So pay attention to these clauses because these may be in some contracts with talents that you enjoy and that you love and that you follow. And also, there will be private information that is going to be redacted. So you're going to see that mainly in one slide, and that's to protect the privacy. Of course, I respect the privacy of the talents above all because I believe, as a part of the VTuber community, as someone who loves the VTuber community, VTuber fans, they always want to put the talent first. That's something that Vishojo was supposed to do, but they failed in that. But you know what? Legal mindset will not fail in trying to protect the talent first. So here we go. This is a separation and release of claims agreement. So this is the form. Now, this is not the agreement for employment. So it's not the employment agreement. This is actually separation agreement. So this is what you would get them to sign at the end of their employment. So why this is relevant right now is because you would want all of the talents on the way out to sign an agreement like this. Some of them may have already signed this and may have already been out. Some of them may have not. Some of them may have refused to sign. They may have come to an impasse. But certainly, most of the employees, which is what we're dealing with today, would have signed this. And one reason why you haven't heard a lot is probably because they signed this. And once you see the clauses, you're going to understand why they haven't spoken up. So this is obviously between Vishojo, which is a Delaware corporation. Many corporations formed in Delaware, very common. Now, lately, the Delaware law has been not so good for corporations, but historically, it has been predictable at least. So they've been, a lot of corporations are formed in Delaware. And then, of course, the talent, or the employee.
Okay. Oh, crap. Okay, I did it. Did the lesson. I mark the food data 8, so I don't need to worry about it. But anyway, everything's very good and all. So it is time for me to talk about the costume. First of all, one.
Wanna hear a summer story?
2 hours, 1 minute. What I like in this costume is this little thing. I really appreciate it. But that thing is kind of weird.
Where are we going? There's no class today. Would you like to take a stroll on the beach with me?
I don't. Like beaches. And I don't like summer.
Bear witness to the noble principles of the Timefield family. Would you like to take a stroll on the beach with me?
Side boob is quite nice.
Don't frighten me like that!
However, I really dislike what she says during her ult. Because, once again, it is about summer. We'll buy one of those. It's gonna be, well, less than 400, but more than 350 left. So 4 months. One, two, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I accidentally pressed in the wrong place on my mic volume mixer or something. So I'm not quite sure where I was previously. I guess minus 1.2 decibels should be fine. Okay. Or maybe 1.7. I'll go for 1.7. Four more months. October, November, December, January. Who says there won't be any more great skins?
Wanna hear a summer story? What if what's gonna be in January is once again two new skins that are going to be much more pleasant to look at.
What purpose is there for owning a skin that I don't plan to use? Because usual outfit is as good as it can be. It's just so fucking pretty. Oh god. Let's go to my video store, video archive. Special episodes. And what's that? What is that locked thing? I wonder. Okay, let's pause. Maybe I'll just listen to the previous stream that I had. Okay, this is bullshit. The VOD is 12 hours long. 11 hours 54 minutes. And I streamed for, I think, 16 hours yesterday. Completing all the event and everything. This is bullshit. But yeah, looks like yeah. So there was a couple streams that were more than 11 hours 54 minutes and 56 seconds or something. Yeah, I fucked up. I fucked up badly. Yeah. Totally gives off sleazy in the suit vibes. Alright, let's go.
Idiot! The job was simple, but you just had to get greedy and steal stuff. We're gonna miss that task.
This job you mentioned.
Go on, you won't.
This is gonna stick. Whip the whips away! Keep it up!
Okay, whatever.
Tranquil stretch of scared of ghost stories.
In other words, these guys look like a bunch of thugs who broke into
Mhm. Oh, that's not English. It's in Japanese. Doesn't matter. Then Yeah. Okay, so I found the video that does have some stuff, but it doesn't have everything.
Which alias should
We're not headed for some...
New level.
It's time to settle this! For the time field name, I will never lose!
complicated.
Behold, the most symmetrical swordplay. It's time to settle this. For the time field name, I will never lose.
There are lots.
Behold, the most symmetrical swordplay. It's time to settle this. Come on! Don't be nervous! Woo! Don't get scared, no! Fire! Yeah! Your luck's run out! Go, Kama! Whoa! Come on! Don't be nervous! Yeah! Don't get scared, no! Fire! Woo! This party is just getting started. Ready for a fiery feast? Chance to score. Your luck's run out. Go, Kama! Whoa! I'm here. Hey, let's have some fun. Yeah!
Okay. Oh yeah, in the name of summer, I won't lose is really fucking cringe for me. Because what does summer has to do?
Behold, the most symmetrical swordplay! Ha! It's time to settle this! Ha! For the time field name, I will never lose! Huh. At the beach, Alice Timefield is unstoppable! Huh. In the name of summer, I won't lose! Huh. I offer you the dazzling star of a summer night! Come on! Don't be nervous! Yeah! Ha-ha! Hi! Yeah! Ha-ha! Trouble sky high! Ooh, ha-ha! I'll help blast your trouble sky high! Yeah! Ha-ha! Guess what my umbrella can turn into? Ha! Whoa! Got a summer surprise! Care to sign for it? Woo! Ha-ha!
Well,
Behold,
summer is used once. Still is used. Okay, that was really useful. Now, the question is...
Incoming!
when is Bernice gonna get a skin? She doesn't need one.
Wanna hear a summer story?
Well,
Let's do something summery together. Oh, but no scary stories.
sorry, Alice's side boob, and no. Ass.
I can't wait to hear the sound of the sea. Wanna hear a summer story?
I bought it. I'm not gonna swap it. Okay. Sound arrows go. Let's claim it.
and then get more. Oh. Okay, let's wait. Let's switch to our Kobo.
I think that's
For those who didn't follow me on Twitter, you know, we were up in the air and then the captain was like, hello, this is the captain speaking. A volcano just erupted in our path and we have to rewrite our flight right now with air traffic control. I was like, please don't make my story into a Final Destination movie. I do not consent to be on the Mayday TV show. A famous VTuber, Doki Bird, was also on that plane. And then they start playing my YouTube clips. I'll be like, being blind doesn't mean like I can't hit back. For those who didn't follow me on Twitter,
Einstein was a nice guy, but there was one person to him he was not nice, and that was his former teacher of geometry, Hermann Minkowski, who was a great genius. Minkowski hated Einstein when he was a student. He called him a lazy dog. One day he heard that lazy dog, Einstein, invented special relativity. He said, I'll show how it works geometrically. And when Einstein heard it for the first time, he said, a mathematician has managed to make my theory incomprehensible, because he was still angry at his teacher. Tragically, Minkowski got appendicitis and died. And before he died, he said the following: what a pity to die at the dawn of relativity theory. Now, relativity theory, the dawn is long over. It's just up there. But there is always a new dawn, and I wish for every one of you that it always
One of the most important things you could ever do to increase your damage in Xenoblade Zone Zero is managing your substats on your DPS characters, whether that is attack, anomaly, or even rupture agents. Recently, a lot of people have been asking me, how do we know if we have enough substats on our characters? And how do we count them? A lot of people will assume that having to count substats is something that you have to get very, very sweaty or try hard to do. But in reality, no. Anyone can. And it's actually a lot more simple than you could ever think. So today we're going to go over anomaly versus attack versus rupture substats, how to count them, the importance of them, and at the very end go over why sometimes your builds can lie to you. So with that out the way, let's get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Kate the 7th, and I'll be your host today. Let's first talk about anomaly substats. You are looking for anomaly proficiency and attack percent, with flat attack and flat pin being the next best options. When it comes to attack agents, the substats you are looking for in your drive disc are crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent, with flat attack and flat pin being the next best options. And for your rupture agents, what you are looking for are crit rate, crit damage, and HP percent, with attack percent being the next best option. The total number of effective substats that you have for each one of these classes will greatly influence how much damage you do. But now that you know what we're looking for, how do you actually count them? If we had a drive disc on slot 1 of our build, and it had HP, defense, attack percent, and anomaly proficiency, and you roll 2 times into attack percent and once into anomaly proficiency, that would be 5 substats. Many players might look at this and say 2 plus 1 is 3 though, but you have to remember the base roll counts as 1. So 1 line of anomaly proficiency is 9 AP. 1 line of attack percent is 3%. Those already count as 1 substat each, meaning this piece started with 2 substats for your anomaly agent. If we roll 2 more times into attack percent, that's adding 2, which is now 4. And if we got a +1 on AP, we are now at 5.
At 5, my ass. I feel so bad for my editor. I am a dumbass. Like, no. Attack +4 is 5 substats. Anomaly proficiency +1 is 2 substats. We are now at 7 substats, not 5. What the fuck was I talking about? Holy shit.
And now we can take this and move this same logic over to attack agents. But attack agents have 1 extra substat that you are really looking for, because they have crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. So if we were to look at a drive disc for an attack agent, and it had a +1 crit rate, +2 crit damage, and +1 attack percent, this would total to 7. But since there are 6 drive discs for every single agent, what you now need to do is take the total of every single drive disc and add them all together. So if we had an average of 5 substats on all 6 drive discs, that would give us a 30 substat build. But if we were to only have a 3 average on every single drive disc, that would only give us 18 total substats. When it comes to building DPS agents, 20 total substats is towards the lower end, 30 is pretty solid, and 40 is towards the higher end. You can technically get 40 plus on every single DPS agent, whether they are anomaly or attack. It's just very difficult, but it is possible. Now, I wanted to say rupture agents last on purpose, because rupture agents are kind of finicky. As we have more rupture agents coming in the future in Idhari and Monato, but we also have Ishwin in the game right now. To make it easy for people, I recommend that you just go ahead and count HP percent as 1 sub for rupture agents. But that's technically not true, but it would save you a lot of math if you just went ahead and did this. Because technically for rupture agents, crit rate and crit damage count as 1 sub. HP is closer to 2/3 of a sub, and attack percent is closer to 1/3 of a sub. But to make the math a lot easier for you, I recommend that you just go ahead and count HP as 1 sub and attack percent as half of a sub. So if we were to look at a piece for a rupture agent that had crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and HP percent, it rolls once into crit rate, twice into crit damage, once into attack percent, and once into HP. This would be an 8-roll piece for an rupture agent, because the crit rate and HP percent would be 4 rolls, and the crit damage would be another 3, and then the attack percent, since we're counting it as half right now, that would equal 1. So 4 plus 3 plus 1 would equal 8. Now, if you do want to go ahead and do the extra math and count HP percent as 2/3 and attack percent as 1/3, then by all means, I'm not going to stop you. You would technically be a little bit more accurate when counting your subs for your rupture agents if you did that, but in my honest opinion, it's not that big of a deal. But now you may be asking yourself, why is this so important? Like, is it really that big of a difference if someone has 8 to 10 more subs than I do on the exact same character? Well, thanks to my very, very good friend, OK Muzzy, we were able to do some math for you. Shout out to OK Muzzy. I'm gonna link his channel in the description below. He's a really good friend of mine, and he's very good at math. But OK Muzzy was able to make this chart for everyone today with Miyabi as an example. Now, Miyabi has her signature engine in this example, and just to make things a little bit easier, it's going to be crit rate on the 4th slot, ice damage on the 5th slot, and attack percent on the 6th slot. By no means am I saying this is Miyabi's best in slot. And just to make things a little example, now Miyabi has her signature engine in this example, and just to make things a little bit easier, it's going to be crit rate on the 4th slot, ice damage on the 5th slot, and attack percent on the 6th slot. By no means am I saying this is Miyabi's best in slot build. This is just to make the example a little bit easier for everybody to understand. But as we can see in the first example, this is a build with 20 total substats. For the second example, it is a build with 30 total substats. And for the third example, it will be a build with 40 total substats. The difference between a 20 and a 40 substat build Miyabi is almost 30%. And for my people who understand how big of a difference that is, you know that is a lot. And the difference between 20 and 30 is closer to a 13 to 15% damage increase, which is still nothing to scoff at. So many times over the past year and a half doing this as a content creator, I will see people comment on other videos watching someone clear Deadly Assault or Shield Defense, and they'll say, how is your agent doing so much more damage than mine? I have the same signature engine that you do, and my crit rate and crit damage are almost the same, or they'll say my anomaly proficiency is almost the same. And a big reason why people don't understand this is because they are not counting all of their substats. You cannot just look at the crit rate and crit damage of an agent to determine how much damage they're going to do. You have to also look at the attack percent. You cannot just look at the AP of an anomaly agent to determine how much damage they're going to do. You have to also look at the attack percent. You cannot just look at the crit damage of a rupture agent to determine how much damage they're going to do. You have to also look at the HP percent. One of the big mottos of my channel and streams is substats matter. They matter a lot. And yes, they are RNG based, and I know that it can be very, very frustrating to farm for characters. But at the end of the day, you are doing significantly less damage with your 22 substat build than someone is who has 30 plus subs, because you may have slightly higher crit damage than them, but they have a balance of crit damage and attack percent. And to show you just how important substats are, I have a very good example for you. My personal Hugo on my account does more damage with pin ratio than he does with attack percent, even though he already has a lot of defense shred. Chingy's M1 gives defense shred, his M2 gives defense shred, and his signature gives defense shred, but he still does more damage on my account with pin ratio than he does attack percent. And some of you might think, how is that possible? It's because substats matter. The only attack percent 5th slot that I could possibly use on him only has 3 subs, while the pin ratio piece I have has 7 subs. That is a 4 sub difference. So even though on paper attack percent should be doing more damage than pin ratio, it doesn't on my account specifically, because my attack percent piece is so much worse than my pin ratio piece that the pin ratio does more damage. So please, please, please keep in mind, just because something on paper is more optimal doesn't mean it'll be optimal for you. Pin ratio is Miyabi's best in slot for a Yuzuha Sokaku team. But if your pin ratio piece is significantly worse than your ice damage piece, your ice damage will do more damage. So please never forget that substats matter.
Quick little transition while I was fixing the voice timeline for this. Substats matter, but also buffs matter too. Your buffs in shield defense and deadly assault can also make one of your pieces worse than usual. So sometimes an attack percent 4th slot can be better on your crit characters depending on the buff. Sometimes a crit damage piece can be better on the 4th slot depending on the buff. Sometimes a pen ratio or ice damage or attack percent can all beat each other. It just really depends on what the buffs are and the specific teams that you are using. But rule of thumb, if you are someone who just doesn't like switching their pieces around all the time, just use the piece that has the best substats. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is flat stats. Flat attack and flat pin do increase your damage, but they can sometimes lie to you. And I say this because a lot of people will tell you that flat stats count as a half a sub. That is only true sometimes, which is why I recommend people to just not count flats on your build. Instead of counting flats towards your total subs, instead say, I have 30 subs plus 5 flats. Instead of saying, I have 32.5 subs. But in reality, you're kind of lying to yourself. Because in most situations, flat attack and flat pin are not a half a sub. Now, sometimes
Okay. Ridiculous how everything just is pretty easy when you don't care about this stuff.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and what a wild day. They released the Epstein files. Oh my god. Now if you were somebody yesterday, you probably have just seen that my god, 33,000 files got released. Now I decided I'm gonna spend the entire night. I'm just gonna look through this, you know, pour myself a nice glass of the hard stuff, see what's actually new, and much to my shock and awe, actually nothing much new got announced.
Oh, yeah,
so right now, because obviously, you know, a bunch of people are getting a little bit pissed that the most transparent government isn't being completely transparent. Obviously, I think many people are rightfully asking for information on one of the most prolific human traffickers in human history, right? Somebody that has obviously victimized tons of people, but somebody that has been connected to some of the world's most powerful individuals, right? And the rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper regardless of how much, you know, new information comes out. So obviously, because there's so many victims, right, and people want disclosure, that even representatives that were pretty much on Trump's ass, you know, like kissing up his asshole, they were leaving the actual office after they had spoken to the victims. Which makes sense, right? Like, obviously, me and you are, you know, watching this through a lens of the internet. We're a little detached. But when you sit in front of a victim to, you know, what might be one of the most gross human trafficking schemes in human history, yeah, obviously it's gonna break anybody, right? Like, let's be completely real about this. Now again, what's really insane about this too is like, not even a month ago, this is apparently just a big Democrat hoax or something that would never actually end. Even though as we're talking right now, and as you're probably watching the video, the victims are actually coming out and talking about, you know, their experiences publicly for the world to consume. Now, again, this is also a situation where if you're looking closely at like this, you know, resolution, this is drafted by both a Republican and a Democrat in order to release all of this information regarding these Epstein files, right? And as this is actually happening, many people are signing up for this. They're getting involved. They're trying to just ignore all of the, you know, party team sports bullshit and just actually sign for justice. And while this is happening, what's insane about this situation is that, again, you've got the White House telling CNN, helping these guys and those liberal Democrats with their attention seeking, while the DOJ is fully supporting, by the way, the same DOJ that has been part of a shitty cover-up is fully supporting a more comprehensive file release effort from the Oversight Committee. But if you help these guys release this information and try to push it through democratic principles, right, like a vote, would be viewed as a very hostile act to the administration. Again, I don't understand how draining the swamp, which is what this same administration ran on, would consider like a hostile act. Wouldn't this be very much in line with what the fuck you guys ran on? Like, this is stuff that just doesn't make any sense to me. And again, the more and more this story comes up and the more the administration acts, the more it becomes just apparent that this is just the shittiest cover-up. But we'll go a little bit deeper into it because there's one bombshell out of all this that I think really deconstructs all of this, you know, White House bullshit. So September 2nd, right over here. Today, the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform released 33,295 pages of Epstein-related records that were provided by the U.S. Department of Justice. On August 5th, Chairman Comer issued a subpoena for records related to Jeffrey Epstein. And the Department of Justice has indicated that it will continue producing those records while ensuring the redaction of victim identities and CSAM, which obviously, you know, nobody is asking for. I don't really want to know the victims' names, nor do I want to see the videos and photos associated with the abuse. What I am interested in is who in the elite was actually dealing with this kind of stuff. Who was taking advantage of children? Who was taking advantage of innocent women, men, whatever, people, just human? Who was treating them like cattle? So here they gave a link which leads to a Google Drive that has gigabytes of actual information. I mean, it's 33,000 articles. So again, you've got, you know, a data sheet over here. You've got the volume, which contains natives, images, and of course, looking further into it, I haven't seriously seen every single thing here. I think nobody has because it just came out less than 24 hours ago. But again, you can see that a lot of the images over here, a lot of the stuff is in relation to, again, the interviews being done. So again, if I just turn the sound down here so it doesn't echo through, you can see that, of course, there's interviews being done. And the way that they're presenting it is they're just screen recording. So you can see, like, the VLC, and again, like, this is just fresh from the beginning to end. So, again, people can, I guess, verify through this that there are no cuts. But of course, there's more information. So if you've never seen sort of like, you know, the walk around of the property, so to speak, the body cam stuff, this is what it is. It can be chilling stuff for anybody that, you know, is looking at this with complete morbid curiosity. But I want to just say that none of this information is actually new. If you were following this case at all, if you were going down the Epstein rabbit hole, like me and many others, none of this information is mind-boggling and new to you. But if you're somebody that is now catching up, the government at least provided this in a easy-to-view Dropbox. So of course, looking through these images over here, they appear to just be screen grabs. So again, affidavits from the Palm Beach Police Department, for instance. And again, there is redactions to expect over here. In fact, the redactions have gotten to a point where I think everyone's kind of laughing about them. For instance, on the Epstein subreddit, one of the things they showed was the House released this page as part of their file dump. Now again, I've seen, like, again, for the party that wants to drain the swamp and bring transparency, I fucking love these black bars, dude. I think there is Saudi Arabian porn that is more revealing than what these documents can consist of. Now, out of the 33,000 pages that have been released, a lot of them obviously we've already seen before, but around 1,000 pages that specifically deal with the United States Customs and Border Patrol, specially related to, I think, flight logs between the years of 2000 and 2014 are what was actually new in this entire situation, right? And I believe some of the newer documentation, and again, I'm still trying to mostly vet this for myself, is again from the CBP. So you can see, like, again, documentation regarding the arrival of private aircrafts, obviously related to Epstein, for instance, right? Now, aside from a lot of this, there is one piece of information that I think is a pretty interestingly big bombshell, okay? One that kind of puts into question a lot of the things that the current, like, administration has sort of said, right? Now remember, there have apparently been tens of thousands of videos in this case, videos that obviously the government isn't going to release because they involve children, and of course the actual Attorney General of the U.S., the top cop, Pam Bondi, actually watched all this stuff, okay? So, again, this is her words, not mine. This is the government saying it, okay? So clearly there is some filth and evil in the world, and they are very much reviewing it, very much out there. But when it comes to videos, one of the things that obviously stood out was, remember that jail footage? And there was the whole thing where Pam Bondi was like, you know, there's a reason why there's a minute of footage that is missing, and that's because they use such older systems where, I guess, at like 11:59, like they just stop and then start recording after a minute. Well, it turns out that might just be bullshit, because in part of this, there was actually release of the extra minute of footage, that contested footage everyone was talking about. So look very carefully at this, okay? Now that that footage has been recovered somehow, you can actually see that, and we'll play most of it just over here for you, again, just to go by the seek bar. Of course, when you get towards the end, you can see that one officer kind of walks towards the entrance of what appears to be the shoe, picks up the phone, and of course gets cleared for entry, and then decides to walk right in. Yeah, there it is. You can actually see him go right in there once the door actually opens. Now again, the thing about this is we went from, there really isn't footage because the tech is so old, now we have the fucking footage. And I don't think this footage would have ever been gotten if it wasn't for the fact that there was, you know, Wired, there was a whole bunch of independent investigators. I mean, I showed you guys how to do the forensics yourself just to verify that the government was bullshitting you. And they were in fact bullshitting you. How do you go from the footage, you know, probably doesn't exist because of, you know, technical limitations to, hold on guys, we have the footage right here for you to see.
And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing.
That means, to me, that there's a lot more information that is still not released as part of this massive 30,000 plus file drop. I think it's insane that we're calling this transparency when a lot of the stuff is still very heavily redacted. There's information that consistently contradicts the shitty cover-up that it is. Okay, I said this cover-up was falling apart, and I really do feel that it is absolutely falling apart at the seams, and even more so now that I look at this footage, because again, more and more contradictions just keep kind of flying in regards to the story. But again, to kind of whittle it on back to something that I find a little bit important in this situation is the redaction. I'm not looking for victims or anything. I'm not looking necessarily for, you know, a book that has the header client list on top of it. What I am looking for is transparency in regards to it. It's fine to redact a victim. It's absolutely 100% a-okay for the government to not release CSAM on Google Drive for everybody to download. That is an understandable thing. But it really feels like it's hard to trust a government that wanted to make this stuff so transparent, because even if information does come out, and I guess it's
old man. Not bad. Really a bad joke.
It's one of those situations where, like, it's a lose-lose for the government. You know, if you don't release anything, we're still going to be thinking that, you know, the guy running in the office is in the files pretty heavily. And even if they do release something, with how compromised the government is right now, I don't even think the files they will release.
Why did I protest so much? Anyway, it's going to wait for the stream. Good luck, fantastic.